Het Openluchttheater Rivierenhof weet af en toe echte wereldsterren te strikken. En dat is ook vandaag het geval, want een van de grootste jazzartiesten ter wereld is hier vandaag op bezoek. In het kader van zijn tour, de Momentum Tour, dat is trouwens ook de naam van zijn meest recente album. Hij is een echte virtuoos op piano en hij zoekt af en toe ook wel eens de grenzen van de jazz op. Good evening, Mr. JamieCullum.
Good evening, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure.
In a few moments' time, you will be playing here in the Openluchttheater of Deurne. Have you played here already?
I have not, but it looks like a great venue, so I'm looking forward to it.
Do you like Belgium? Do you like?
Yeah, I do. I've had amazing shows here in Belgium, actually, for a long time. Really big shows. I've played some great festivals here and great venues, and we always get looked after really well. Belgian people are very nice, and the food is always good, and the wine is always good, and so yeah, I like being here a lot. I really do.
Your career actually started in 1999 when you were discovered after you made your first album, JamieCullum Try You Heard It before, with a budget of only £48.
Yeah, I've told different stories every time I tell this story, so sometimes it's £48, sometimes it's £500. I think it was about £250 when, from beginning to end, but the afternoon, the hire of the village hall that we recorded in cost me £30, and everything else we borrowed, so
it was quite an experience.
Well, do you know, it was just, at the time, just a way of getting more gigs. I didn't think it would be an album that people would end up listening to. It was literally something that I could give to people who booked clubs and weddings and, you know, just a document of what I was doing at the time. I don't really think about things, I don't think things through too much before I do them, and that was a classic example.
And the people you gave it to have to be very grateful, because now on eBay they sell it for £600.
Sure, well that's true, you're right. I've got a few copies left just in case I fall on hard times.
Yeah. Okay. Then came the first studio album. After that came 20-something. From one day to another you became very popular. How did you cope with that?
I was able to cope with it. I mean, it was a strange time, no question. But I've been playing as a musician since I was 14 years old, like doing gigs. And by the age of 15, every weekend I was doing gigs somewhere, 3-4 gigs in rock bands, pop bands, jazz bands. So I had this background as a jobbing musician. I had never thought about being famous. I never thought about, I want to be on telly or anything. I just wanted to play. And obviously, 20-something being so successful was just an extension of that.
I imagine with, for example, the gossip press, which is very active in the UK.
They were never that interested in me because I was always hanging out with the same boring people. I hang out with jazz musicians. They're not an attractive bunch of people to put in magazines. You just, I had kind of like, I had the same girlfriend and I hung out in the same pubs. I think they tried to follow me for a bit and they went, oh,
it's too boring.
well, yeah, absolutely. They thought, I mean, I'm definitely not boring, but to them I was. I think they're boring. They're talking about the same old shit, you know, it's like, who gives a damn what they're doing? So it was quite funny though. There are a couple of occasions where that did happen. I went to a nightclub and I got drunk and I fell out the door. It was classic kind of, I fell on my ass in front of the paparazzi of the UK, but it's got to be done in some ways, isn't it? I do that enough, people don't photograph me while I'm doing it.
You're obviously very honored for your music, but there are also some jazz lovers who say, well, JamieCullum, that's not jazz, he shouldn't play on a jazz festival, for example, because he's too pop. How do you react to that criticism?
No, I don't really, you know, there are purists in every genre. Sometimes indie bands aren't indie enough for an indie festival, and electronic acts aren't electronic enough for electronic festivals. It's, you can't please everyone. There's no point. I mean, I've never presented my music as pure jazz, although funny enough, I've just made a new album which probably is the first pure jazz record I've ever made. It's coming out in October. It's called Interlude. But it's not something I really think about. Those people exist, and you know, that's all you can do really.
Who's the person JamieCullum?
Well, he's sitting right here on this leather sofa.
Yeah.
He's got 2 kids who keep him awake, and a wife who tries to let him sleep. And you know, I think I really, really like playing music.
Yeah.